Well, we're on day 2 of Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation hearings. And so far, things have not been destructive today. I thought yesterday was a net negative for the GOP. I think it's dumb that they're having the hearings. Although today is going a bit better for them because they're getting they're able to shape the conversation a bit more today. Of course, they are controlling the hearing, but Democrats do get their time to speak, and they've made it clear they're going to make it all about healthcare. But at least now, the GOP is getting good sound bites for them to put out there. They're trying to, make a couple of ACB memes and things and spread that around, which I don't know how well that's going to work on penetration into mainstream news. But, who knows if that really matters anyway. I mean, how many undecided voters or potential Trump voters are watching CNN and MSNBC at this point? I would think none, this close to the election. So even though those outlets are going to focus on, I would think, what the Democrats are focusing on, and that is Obamacare, something that polls well, which is why I thought this whole endeavor, yesterday I went over, this whole endeavor is such a waste of time and counterproductive. If anything, it's at best, net zero for the GOP. I don't know why they're going through with all these hearings. But the one opportunity is that they were going to able to have some good clips coming out of this hearing, because like with the Kavanaugh stuff, Kavanaugh definitely helped them. They got good clips out of Kavanaugh. They got Kavanaugh up there doing his rendition of the high-tech lynching speech that Clarence Thomas gave back during his confirmation hearings, essentially saying, you people are a disgrace, you senators, you treat me horribly. How dare you, impugn my integrity this way, and that sort of thing helps. Now, with Barrett, they're not getting that chance because they're not doing that to her, and the Republicans were dumb to think that they would be doing that to her. Nevertheless, even though they don't have any good, righteous moments of righteous indignation coming from her, they've got some lighthearted stuff. They're trying to talk to her. I've seen clips of her talking about adopting kids and being a nice person. And there was one, but they're all meaningless clips. Like there was this one of Cornyn going around right now of him saying, hey, we all here on the Judiciary Committee have extensive notes about everything we're asking you. Do you have extensive notes about how you're answering these questions? And can you see it's on that notepad there? Can you hold up that notepad? What's written there? And she held it up, and it was a blank notepad. She hadn't written anything down. She had no notes. And so people are going like, wow, she's so smart. She's talking about these things with no notes. And it's like, well, these senators are asking very, the kinds of questions that a senator would ask a judge are going to be pretty basic questions. So it's not, I would hope that a legal scholar would not need notes to answer the questions of the Senate Judiciary Committee on any topic. But, nevertheless, this stuff, if they can get some good clips for their people, get some good media stuff, maybe, I don't think any of this is really ad-worthy. I don't think that they could turn these into TV ads, nor do I think they really have the time, which goes both ways. I said that about the Democrats yesterday. The Democrats, I don't know how many ads they could really take clips from this hearing and really get that and try and build the narrative of, Amy Coney Barrett is bad for Obamacare. It might be a little late in the cycle to try and, fight that battle, although I do think it is a winning battle for them. But all in all, I'm a little, well, I guess for their sake, not really for mine. I don't really care how they do, since I'm not really a fan of anyone in the GOP Senate other than Mike Lee. Well, and Rand Paul. But other than those two, I don't really care about the Senate. My senators are Marco Rubio and Rick Scott. I can't stand either of them. But these confirmation hearings go on all week. So I guess Thursday is supposed to be the last day of hearings. So they're still, I think, I don't know how much longer the hearing might be wrapped up by the time that I upload this. So there might not be anything else news that could potentially come out today. But we'll see about tomorrow and Thursday. If there's any zingers that really help the Dems. But so far, this might just be a wash. If depending on how the coverage is slanted and who's reached by that, because this is dangerous. There is a potential if something really bad happened for the Republicans at one of these hearings that it could swing a bunch of late deciders, and all the late deciders could could break for Biden. And in a close race in certain states, that would not be a good thing. You know, if all of a sudden there was this big media campaign and it was absolutely clear, and everyone said, "Oh my gosh, this Barrett woman, will mean the end of healthcare in America, and everyone will be dying in the streets." If they were successful in pulling that off, if they really pushed hard for that, you know, as hard as they pushed to say that Kavanaugh was a rapist, which again, I think it's easier to make the case that this woman is going to, you know, destroy Obamacare than it was to make the case that Kavanaugh was a rapist. Well, then that's going to be a very bad news cycle for Trump and the Republicans going into November the 3rd, which, you know, by the time these confirmation hearings are over, we'll have 2 weeks until the election. We've got next week and the week after of campaigning, and then that following Tuesday is going to be the election. Now, of course, these confirmation hearings also do help stall the stimulus bill or any potential stimulus bill, because as long as the Senate is dealing with the Supreme Court, they're not dealing with, you know, with their pork barrel stimulus program, which, you know, a lot of Senate Republicans are not real thrilled with having to vote for that. McConnell is saying that it might be a $500 billion bill that they put forward, which is very far away from what Trump and Pelosi have been discussing, somewhere in the neighborhood of, you know, 1.6 to 2 trillion, or really 1.8 to 2 trillion at this point. So perhaps, you know, McConnell, you know, wants to run out the clock. Wall Street for now doesn't seem all that concerned, though. They seem happy enough with stimulus optimism as long as they keep getting headlines of their negotiations in the process. Nothing bad is going to happen on Wall Street, I guess. So market updates I might just suspend them until after the election, because that really seems to be the way traders are thinking right now. And the algos, of course, a lot of that is probably deliberate on the part of, you know, big whales in the market, trying to trying to make things as stable as possible going into the election, because you have no idea how bad things are going to be after Election Day, what's going to happen, uncertainty with the vote, you know, who's going to win, are there going to be riots in the streets, are people going to want to try and occupy Wall Street again? All of these things are uncertainties that, and if the market is already in rough shape on Election Day, well, then all of that added chaos is going to make things much more painful. Honestly, today and this week, you know, even though we have a Supreme Court confirmation hearing going on, which ordinarily would be very exciting, it still feels like the calm before the storm to me. Things do not seem particularly crazy at the moment. Everything looks like it's on the edge. You know, is there going to be something crazy that happens at the confirmation hearing? Is there going to be, you know, a stimulus bill to bail out Wall Street before the election? Is Wall Street going to throw a temper tantrum after the election, depending on what happens? Are we going to have, you know, significant results reported on election night? I think there's almost a certainty at this point that we're not going to know who the true winner is, but, you know, officially. But are we going to know enough to really understand which way things are going? I think Florida is going to have its results on election night, and that's going to be important. But the most important state this year is going to be Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania can't start counting their mail-in ballots until after the polls close on November the 3rd. And so unless there's a landslide for Biden, the election is going to be uncertain until Pennsylvania finishes counting its ballots. And then, of course, you're going to have, I'm sure, recount lawsuits from both sides flying back and forth, depending on who is slightly ahead or slightly behind. And, of course, if any of those cases make it to the Supreme Court, Barrett, theoretically, will be on the bench by then, and she will be able to participate and break any potential ties. You won't have any 4-4 decisions if you've got Barrett on the Supreme Court. Something that, you know, may or may not add to the chaos of the whole situation. I just can't know at this point. So with that said, if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please just subscribe because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.